Candace Owens was gone for about 11 days, 12 days. And what happened during that time? Well, we got a few clips that we'll watch. But I've been following along to Candace Owens' timeline here. Almost every episode I watch Candace Owens now. And I suggest that you should too. It's great stuff. Now, every so often, Candace drops a new big release. You have to think with Candace Owens, she is essentially acting as the single source for people to funnel information to. Right? It's not like Candace Owens has this humongous team who are just out there on the ground, boots on the ground, investigating this. Some of that's true. She does have some people that she's working with that are doing those things, but also she has become the figurehead. Candace Owens has become the figurehead for the truth when it comes to Charlie Kirk, right? This is the justice that JFK never got. This is the justice that Martin Luther King never got, right? And so she has become a figurehead who has called upon the American people to bring her leads, tell her information, source the truth. And we get to follow her every single day to see what is happening in that collective consciousness, which is incredible and is going to show our government that you can't get away with this like you thought you could, or like you could maybe 40, 50 years ago, right? So all of that being said, Candace Owens has been a beaming light of truth where Kash Patel, like literally everything else that Kash Patel has done up until this point, has been an egregious lie. Almost every single thing. The Epstein files, I can go on and on. But staying on topic here, the FBI hasn't come out with a new shred of information when it comes to Charlie Kirk in the last, month and a half, 2 months since they started the original narrative around the lone gunman shooter. He said that they were pursuing all leads, and he hasn't come out with a shred of new evidence to the American people. Cased shut. Erica Kirk threw a party to celebrate this assassination being a closed book alongside Donald Trump with Kash Patel in the audience, I'm sure. And it's over with, guys. Stop worrying about it. The FBI, case shut. We did our jobs. You're not talking about it anymore. But wait, there's Candace Owens, right? There is an army of people that are funneling information to her. So some of the latest updates with this, and I have a whole GPT that I created around every episode's transcription that she's done so far, so I can create some timelines for you guys. And I'll share that publicly if you'd like. I can send it to you. Because you can essentially ask any of the episodes that she's had, all of the transcriptions, all of the information, all of the leads, everything. You can ask it any question and it will give you the source, the episode, the time, and the links. All right. But some of the bigger pieces that she's come out with recently is that there is this individual, a man who is one of Charlie's right-hand men. I'll have to get the name of him pulled for you. But essentially what he does, right, there's two big things. There's Mike McCoy, which was was operations guy who was assisting Charlie Kirk for quite some time. And essentially what happened is that he was seen in the background. He's also the son of the pastor that we discussed last week, but I digress. That will come up in a second. But essentially what happened is that he was in the background during the shooting, right behind Charlie Kirk. And immediately, as the shot rings out here, you will see him on his phone. And he walks away. Very chill. Right? Very chill. Like nothing happened. Immediately pulls his phone up to his ear, makes a call to who they said was to Erica Kirk. Kind of weird. Doesn't run, doesn't seem bothered. And within 0.8 seconds, Candace Owens timed it. 0.8 seconds, he pulls up his phone and has a call going during that time. Now, another thing, so Turning Point addressed this. They said, oh, well, he was shooting content, and that's the reason that he was on his phone immediately. And when the shots rang out, he went to plug his ears, and he just so happened to have his phone in his hand. He wasn't on a call. Okay, well, that's different than what you said before, which was that he was calling Erica Kirk. Kind of weird. Now there's this other guy who immediately, from Turning Point, well-established individual from Turning Point, immediately decides to do a selfie video during this time. He decides, oh, my best friend, longtime person, I've worked for him for quite some time. We're very close. Oh, he just got shot in the neck and died. Now's a great time for a selfie video. That's what he decided. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
He just shot Charlie.
Another interesting part of this video is he's sitting there doing a selfie video showing as the security is putting Charlie Kirk into their big SUV. And at the same time, emergency assistants, like the medics, are rushing over to Charlie. But the security decides to throw him in the car instead of getting the medical assistance that's right there to help him. Weird. You'll see it right here in this clip. Right here, right there. Those guys are medics looking to help. But instead, the security guy jumps in the back of the car, and this guy decides it's time for a selfie video.
He just shot Charlie.
This guy looks wholly unbothered, by the way. Just chilling. Hear all those screams? That's regular people. That's not a regular person there.
God help him.
Just chilling. Hanging out. Everybody else is screaming, running. Normal people are doing normal things. This guy, who just so happens to be very close with Charlie Kirk, decides, nah, I'm just going to chill here. Shoot a video, hang out. And then another person says that this same guy got a text and pulled the left rear cameraman out of the way before the shot. Let's watch that. Here's the video. He's pointing away, telling the cameraman, come over here with me. Right before the shot rings out. Interesting. Maybe a coincidence. That's fine. But pretty interesting. So, that's one of the updates. Now, what Candace Owens seems to be alluding to is that Turning Point wasn't just a part of the cover-up. They were involved, right? She doesn't say these things outright. Her, catchphrase right now is, we don't know, but we know. Right? That's her catchphrase right now. But what she's alluding to, right? Because she's not outright saying these things. She's just dropping little videos, dropping these seeds, dropping these new, she's not outright accusing them. But she kind of is, right? She's saying that these people are involved. And why would Turning Point USA be involved in helping Charlie Kirk get assassinated? Well, all of these people's livelihoods count on it. Almost majority of them seem to be Zionists. And almost every single person involved in this has, in one way, shape, or form, one person close to them that is high-level military in their family. That was one of the biggest things that Candace Owens came out with today. Whether it was the coroner, whether it was the Mike McCoy, the pastor guy, his grandpa was high up. Whether it's almost every single person seems to be in one shape or form connected to the military industrial complex. So let me even pull up Candace's, let me pull up her episode here, because there's a very interesting point that I think she makes about this that I've talked about before, which is that essentially, let me just pull it up here and we'll go through it together. Here it is. Let's watch it together.
Would be the right person to say that. By the way, who was the medical examiner? Who were the doctors? And any chance they were military? Any chance they were military? I'm just wondering. And here's what I've discovered preliminarily. The answer is yes, okay? The doctor who worked on Charlie was Dr. Lee Trotter. And regarding Dr. Lee Trotter, he did his residency on the Air Force Base, right? He completed a residency at the Keesler Air Force Medical Center in Mississippi. I think he actually might be in the Air Force from what I'm looking at. Can't confirm that entirely, but there's a person who matches his name, age, description, living where he's living, who is actually in the Air Force. And he also, for a fact, is a pilot. So it would track that he was in the military. That's interesting. The medical examiner, Dr. Deidre Smith Amaro, who that would be the appropriate person to have had the conversation with, also someone that in my dream, Charlie told me I should look into. She's a major in the Army. She's also from a major corporation. She's from the Erickson family. The Erickson Boyd Corporation is her family. She tells people that she is a direct descendant of Leif Erikson. This brings us into like Swedish Freemason stuff, okay? And I'm sure, like I'm certain she's an Erikson, like 1,000% certain that she is an Erikson. She's also now a lesbian. And I'm thinking, why was she just made a major in the Army?
I like
Why
how
did they
she
need this woman in? Why were people
prods that.
researching these doctors and this specific medical examiner?
Right. That was another thing, is that the day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was a curious amount of first-time Google searches for key players, including the alleged shooter, including the coroner, including the doctor. Now, why would that be?
What the heck is going on? There's more. There's a lot more that I haven't covered, but I'm painting a picture here for you. Okay. I think the military industrial complex that Eisenhower forewarned of, the military industrial complex that shot JFK to maintain power, has created a veneer of reality for us. And it is not so, right? We are under a veil. I think that these corporations, people that are put at the head of these corporations and we're told that they're geniuses, or they're just so successful, like Mr. Beast. These are military operations, is what I'm.
And then the reason that she points out Mr. Beast is the fact that Mr. Beast, both of his parents are high-level military. High-level military. So let's finish this out, and I'll tell you my thoughts.
Signaling to you guys. So be aware of that. I think this military-industrial complex has had a lot of actors. We have military-grade actors, some of which I think were there when Charlie got shot. Weird behavior from people. The first people to get booked. It was hard to find a student that spoke to a mainstream media news organization on that day. Something's not right. There are too many military players that were surrounding Charlie, and they weren't there before 2018. They weren't there until forces were trying to pull me and Charlie apart. And I had it on my heart to share this with you because I think it will help you when you start to look at things and assess people and they tell you he's a genius. Then you learn that they have, I don't know, a contract with the Department of Defense. He might just be a military grade actor meant to lead a company, because if we all looked up and realized the military owns everything and maybe has owned everything and controlled everything since they shot JFK, well, that wouldn't be a good thing for us to know, right? And we don't know it. We don't know it, but I kind of know.
So there you have it. There's a little portion. Go watch the full episode. Highly recommend. But the point there is that our entire institutions, not only the government institutions, but the corporate institutions, have been infiltrated by the military, infiltrated by these large, super wealthy families, right? You look at Meta, you look at all of these questionable players. You look at Mark Zuckerberg, you look at these Steve Jobs, you look at Bill Gates, you look at what do all of these guys have in common? When they get to a certain level, they play in government games. They play in big world games. Remember the game Risk? That's the game they end up playing, right? They're not playing in the innovation space. They're not playing in how can I beat my competitor's game. No, how can I assist the foreign or domestic governments for surveillance? Right? Because what happens when you don't? Right? How do you think these guys got funding? Right? When you see these huge, massive investment firms that are owned by, guess the names, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, don't you think there's a vetting process before you get their capital? Don't you think there's a little conversation the same way that, Joe Rogan always talks about this. The first day you become president, they probably show you the real angle of JFK getting assassinated. Don't you think there's a little bit of that? Right? The money stops the second you don't play their games, especially the big money plays, right? The Microsofts, the IBMs, the Apples, the Facebooks, right? All of those companies. And that's why I'm still, even despite things like Grokpedia, still a little skeptical of Elon. And I hope that I'm wrong, but there's something there. And his mom, also very sketchy, government-tied character. So, all of that being said, when you're in business and you're looking at these guys who, they were 17, 18 years old and they started this company together in their garage with just $45, and now they're trillionaires, you have to ask yourself, and usually if you ask yourself this, it becomes a little bit more clear. Do you really think a 17-year-old in the garage is starting a multi-billion-dollar company? Once you learn a little bit more about business and you get into business, you see that what actually happens in the operations of a business and what level of knowledge you need to be decently successful in any industry, let alone the tech industry, as well as having the amount of capital to bleed for years like Meta did without any idea of how they were going to monetize their product, seems a little sketchy to me, right? It seems a little sketchy, right? And that's not even talking about the military connections there, right? Look these people up, look up who their parents are. That's usually 1 degree of separation to high-level military. Interesting to point out. Now, another thing that came up this week, there's a little bit of your updates. Now, there was another thing that came up that I was looking at in recently yesterday, is the fact that there was so many people. There was dozens of people within the audience of Charlie Kirk walking around that day with the very specific outfits that very much so looked like the shooter, but wasn't the shooter. It was like finding Where's Waldo, but there's 30 Waldos. Super weird that everybody in the audience wore a very specific maroon shirt, very specific length shorts, and sunglasses. Pretty weird, right? That doesn't even get into the George Zinn situation.